I feel like I'm a student of yours, and I learn lessons every time you speak. And I just think it's...
Cornel West joined Anderson Cooper on CNN and moved him to tears. Now, this is a discussion around George Floyd's funeral. And as you're going to see, I mean, when it comes to Cornel West, I could listen to him talk all day. And in fact, this entire clip is about 10 minutes long. I've split it into two different parts. So the first part is about, I think, 7 minutes, and then you'll get the rest of it. But I haven't even seen CNN post this yet on YouTube. So I feel like it's important to really play this out and just absorb what Cornel West here is saying.
Hearing the chants of "We Will Breathe" outside of the church, I'm wondering what was going through your mind and your heart?
It was a heavy day, my brother. And yet I was buoyed up because I saw in the hearts and minds and souls, not just of the Floyd family, but of the church, of the music, of the preaching, a love, not one reference to hatred or revenge. It was all about love and justice. It's in the great tradition of the best of black people, a people who have been hated chronically, systemically for 400 years, but have taught the world so much about love and how to love. You saw John Coltrane's Love Supreme in that church service. You saw the love of the children on Marvin Gaye's What's Going On and Toni Morrison's Beloved. You saw Mama Raising in the Sun of Lorraine Hansberry. White America ought to give black people a standing ovation that after 400 years of being terrorized, we refuse to create a black version of the Ku Klux Klan. After 400 years of being traumatized, we want to dish out healers. That's Frederick Douglass. That's Martin King. That's Curtis Mayfield. That's Fannie Lou Hamer. What is it about these black people? So thoroughly subjugated, but want freedom for everybody. That's a grand gift to the world, right in the bowels, at the center of an American empire that is enslaved, Jim Crow, Jane Crow, lynched them, still dishing out these love warriors. That's what I saw in the Floyd family, and I was buoyed up. It reminded me of the West family, reminded me of Irene and Cliff and Cynthia and Cheryl. That's where we come from. Shiloh Baptist Church. You can put us down, but you're not going to put us down in such a way that we're going to hate you because you become the point of reference. No, we're going to put a smile on Larcenia's face. That's his mama. That's where he is right now. He's lying right next to Sister Larcenia, whose way of engaging the world was embracing it with all the love. Now, I'm not saying we don't have black thugs and gangsters. I'm talking about the best of our tradition. Because brother, if we had created a black version of the Ku Klux Klan, there'd been a civil war every generation with terrorist cells in every hood. And that's what Brother Trump needs to understand, because it looks like he's trying to push us to the race war. But the good news is, if there was a race war, we got a whole lot of white brothers and sisters on our side now. That makes a big difference. And we got black folk and red folk and indigenous peoples and Asians and so forth. This is a matter of integrity and honesty, a matter of justice and love. They kept it on the high ground. That was a beautiful thing. But I did break, though, brother. When I saw those brothers marching in, like the ushers in Shiloh Baptist Church, and pick up that coffin and go and walk out. My daughter was there. Couldn't take it, man. I've been at this for over 50 years. And yet, I got to bounce back. And I will bounce back, because we got a love that the world can't take away. The world, white supremacy may make being black a crime, but we refuse to get in the gutter. We're going to go down swinging like Ella Fitzgerald, Muhammad Ali, in the name of love and justice. We're doing it for Brother Wyatt. We're doing it for my daughter. We're doing it for the Asians. We're doing it for the whole world, because that's the only hope of the world. And that kind of love is always tragic, comic, and cruciform. You got to get ready to get crucified with that kind of love, and yet you keep dishing it on generation after generation after generation. The Floyd family lifted up that spiritual, moral banner in the midst of a moment in which we got all these lies and crimes, be it Pentagon, the Pentagon, or Wall Street, or White House, or even Congress itself. We know they don't represent the best of this country. It's just that the best of this country right now seems to be so powerless. But in the streets of our nation, we see this multiracial, multicultural, multi-gender, different sexual orientations, different religions, Jewish brothers and sisters holding up Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, the Catholics holding up Dorothy Day, the Protestants holding up William Coffin and Lydia Maria Child, and the agnostics and the others holding up the Norman Thomases and the Edward Zaids and others. That was my mixed wrestling with what I saw today, my brother. And I think we've got hope in the form of motion, but we got to get ready for the backlash. We got to get ready for the neo-fascist clampdown, because it's coming. It is coming.
Yeah. I've had that. I got to say, I never had the honor of taking one of your classes, but I feel like I'm a student of yours, and I learn lessons every time you speak. And I just think it's...
No, we're in it together, brother. And the beautiful thing about tears, Socrates never cries, but Jeremiah does, and so does Jesus. We cry because we care. We're concerned. It's not about political correctness. It's not about self-righteousness. We cry because we are not numb on the inside. We don't have a chilliness of soul and a coldness of mind and heart. We cry because we connect, but then we must have a vision that includes all of us. And we must have an analysis of power that's honest in terms of the greed, especially at the top, in terms of the hatred running amok, in terms of the corruption, not just White House, Congress, too many churches, too many mosques, too many synagogues, too many universities, too many civic associations, and then the greed in us. You and I talk about this all the time, right? The gangster in us, because we're wrestling with this day by day, and that's why we need each other, my brother.
All right. I got another clip coming up. How do I follow that? I mean, really. I have a few points here of things I want to touch on that Cornel West discussed, but man, I can't follow that. Nobody can follow that. First here, credit to Anderson Cooper for actually having Cornel West on again. He's been on, Cornel West has been on Cooper's show a number of times now, and every time Cornel West comes on, it's like this. It is just, I mean, it is an education, is what it is, and he needs to be on more often. But so a few things here stood out to me. First here, Cornel West mentions how, I mean, this is kind of an offhand remark to everything else he was saying, but this really, it hit me in a weird way. He said, I've been at this for over 50 years, and I have to bounce back. So I think a lot of us, I mean, at least speaking for myself, it's really easy to get down and depressed and at times just feel hopeless and want to give up. But I've been involved. I mean, I've been into politics, involved in this, covering this for, I mean, covering it for real for about 4 years, following it for maybe 10 years. I mean, this is like, my audience is largely younger, around my age. Most of you have not been involved in this for 50 years. You have not been fighting this fight for 50 years. And to see someone like Cornel West, who's been in this fight for that long and continues to have this sort of passion and this real energy and hope. I mean, for me, out of almost anything here, it really stands out as a symbol of what we should all strive to be. We should all strive to have this energy, have this hope, this desire to continue to want to make this world better, make society better for all of us. You see someone here like Cornel West, who's been at this for as long as he has, still fighting this fight. I mean, this is the reason that the rest of us are still in this is because of people like Cornel West who have held it down for this long. We're fighting these fights when there was nobody on their side. And now we are seeing this real movement in the streets. And potentially, I mean, really the start of a transformative moment in terms of what can happen going forward. So, yeah, that stood out to me. Cornel West, of course, mentioning how the black community keeps dishing out these healers, despite the fact that they've been held down for hundreds of years, held down and abused for hundreds of years, and still dishing out these healers. The funeral focus was all about love and justice. I mean, if you really sit and think about what black people have gone through, what their ancestors have gone through, what they have gone through themselves for over 400 years, and sit with that and absorb the fact that despite all of that, what comes out of moments like this is love and a desire to make the world better. I mean, how does that not move you? And Cornel West, I mean, I really can't add anything else there. He laid it out. And then, of course, bring it all back to the fact that, you know, we see the power in Wall Street, the White House, Congress, while, you know, the best of the country appears to be powerless, the ones in the streets. But that is really just, you know, the beginning of this, and how, you know, people like Anderson Cooper, or like anybody really watching this, we feel during moments like this because we care. We actually care to make things better. And that really is, for me, I mean, Cornel West here points out that the best of us, meaning the best of us, the people that care, is the best of us. The best of us aren't, you know, the wealthiest, aren't the well-connected. The best of us are the people that actually feel and care and are doing something and are getting involved, whether it's educating your friends and family, whether it's being in the streets, whatever you're doing, getting involved to make this society better. The best of us are the ones that care. So I think being able to reframe how we view success in life as not who has the money, not who has the most power, but who actually fights for everyday individuals. If we can reframe success as that, I think that is really how we push forward into a world that isn't focused on wealth, but is focused on the collective, focused on all of us succeeding. Now, of course, last clip here. This one's a little shorter, but still, as always, when it comes to Cornel West, it's worth watching.
You know, you said something, I follow you when you're not on my program, I follow you wherever you go, and I read what you had to say. And you said something a couple days ago on somebody else's program. You said, can we hold on to integrity, honesty, and decency? And it seems to me, as you said, there's a lot of people who have remained silent, who have just been watching this. And as you said, there's going to be a backlash, and that's something to be prepared for. Because I think there's a lot of people just waiting on the sidelines, waiting to kind of start to chip away at this and cause doubt and divide people. But I think that's so important that at its core, this is about integrity and honesty and decency and fortitude and courage, which are two other things you've spoken a lot about.
Absolutely, and especially the fortitude and courage. We must have the integrity, honesty, and decency, not purity. No one of us is pure pristine. We all have our spots and our wrinkles, as it were. But it's the courage and the fortitude. That's what's necessary, the backbone. We don't need lukewarm folk. We don't need summer soldiers. We need all seasoned love warriors. That's the tradition that we saw represented in that church at the spiritual level. And my dear brother Sharpton, you know, I love brother Sharpton. We come out of the same black church tradition and so forth, and we fight all the time. And we come together and so forth, and he was powerful. But I always want to connect the police power and police crimes with the Wall Street power and the Wall Street crimes. We live in a culture in which people feel as if they can do and say anything and get away with it with no accountability, no answerability, no responsibility. We saw it on Wall Street in terms of all of that insider trading, market manipulation, and fraudulent activity and predatory lending. How many went to jail? Zero. Trump, say anything, do anything, thinks he can get away with it. Pentagon can drop drones and precious folk in Yemen, Pakistan, and others, and think they can get away with it. We have to have accountability. Our politicians can seemingly tell us anything in front of our faces, and we know what's going on behind closed doors with their tie to big money. Just be honest. That's what integrity is. Malcolm X used to say, sincerity is my only credentials. That's why we love Malcolm. We didn't always agree with Malcolm, but he said what he meant, and he meant what he said. You see what I mean? That's what we need. We need that in our lives. We need that in our communities. We need that in our civilization. And we need that as a critique of the worst of the American empire, the worst of American white supremacy, the worst of American predatory capitalism, the worst of American patriarchy, and the worst of American homophobia and transphobia. Any ideology that loses sight of the humanity of folk, I don't care if they're Arab, Muslim, Palestinian, Jewish, or whatever. It's got to be all the way down. You know, the English word human comes from the Latin humando, which means burial. And that's what we saw today. We saw the humanity because they were ascribing significance to this precious person made in the image of God, whose body was now undergoing extinction and his soul ascending.
All right. Again, I mean, how could I possibly follow that? But I'll try. So just a couple things I want to touch on that he pointed out here. The need for a backbone, for us to have a backbone. And for me, I connect this as well to representatives, to politicians, where we need people representing us that have a backbone to fight for these issues. So are we going to have politicians that have the backbone to fight to defund the police, to understand that you can't have this one-size-fits-all force where they're dealing with all these different issues, that you need to defund or disinvest from the police and put those resources into other areas to properly deal with them? Because you're seeing, I mean, Cornel West here also connects the the crimes of the police to Wall Street, because this really comes down to concentrated wealth and power, and the power that it has over politicians, be it the police unions that have power locally and that have power on the national level, or be it Wall Street that has power over Congress. Until you have representatives that are willing to fight back against that power, stand up to Wall Street, not take their money, stand up to these police unions, fight to defund them, until you have that backbone, you're not going to have real change when it comes to policy. And now that we are seeing this energy in the streets, I think this is what is required to have that sort of, to have representatives that represent that energy. You need that energy in the streets first. These sorts of movements, these changes, they never come from the top down. It always comes first from the movements, and then it pushes into politics. And we are seeing that begin now. So him highlighting that, I think, I mean, again, it's Cornel West. He clearly said it a lot better than I did. So why should I even bother talking anymore? I think he laid it all out there. And again, I don't give CNN much credit. I don't. But here is a case where I'm glad they're having on Cornel West, or at least Anderson Cooper's having on Cornel West as often as he is. And he needs to bring him on for a regular segment. I mean, every day. Just bring Cornel West on every day. And I think the world will be a better place simply because of that alone. But obviously, there's a lot to learn here from Cornel West. And as always, I mean, here, I'll link to the clip below the video as well, so you don't got to watch this whole thing to share with your friends and family. Just it's on Twitter. For whatever reason, CNN hasn't put it up on YouTube yet. I don't know why. But it's on Twitter. I'll link it below, and watch it again, as there are many lessons in this clip that I didn't even touch on.